You don't get to do this. Isla's voice cracked, trembling as she stood in the marble foyer of a mansion she'd only seen in magazines. Her hands shook, clutching a legal envelope she hadn't asked for. You don't get to leave me everything and then just disappear. The lawyer cleared his throat. Ms. Moreno, Mr. Callahan's will is ironclad. The estate, the companies, the properties, all of it goes to you. He was very specific. But I barely knew him, she shouted, tears streaming down her face. We only spoke 3 times. 3. Why would he do this? Why? The lawyer's eyes softened. He slid a handwritten letter across the glass table. Because, he said quietly, you save his life, and he spent the rest of it trying to save yours. Before this goes any further, if you've ever believed in taking a chance on someone, in choosing hard over comfort, please stay with us. Subscribing, liking, or sharing the story isn't about supporting a channel. It's about standing behind stories that remind us who we are. If that matters to you, even a little, stay. Isla Moreno didn't do hope anymore. At 29, she'd learned that life didn't hand you fairy tales. It handed you eviction notices, medical bills, and shifts at Publix in South Miami that lasted until her feet went numb. She stocked shelves, smiled at customers, and went home to a studio apartment where the AC only worked if you hit it twice. Her younger brother, Danny, was the reason she kept going. 16 years old, diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder that required treatments insurance barely touched. Isla worked doubles, picked up weekend shifts, sold her car, her jewelry, anything to keep him alive. She didn't complain. Complaining was a luxury. It was a Thursday afternoon when he walked in, tall, sharp suit, the kind of man who didn't belong in a grocery store at 2 p.m. on a weekday. He moved through the aisles slowly, like he was searching for something he couldn't name. Isla was restocking canned goods when he stopped near her. Excuse me, he said. His voice was low, careful. Do you know where I'd find soup? Something simple. She pointed. Aisle 7. Campbell's is on sale. He nodded, paused. Thank you. That was it. Interaction 1. She didn't think about him again. 2 weeks later, he came back. This time, he looked worse. Pale, shadows under his eyes, like he hadn't slept in days. He bought a single box of crackers and a bottle of water. Isla was at the register. Rough day? She asked, scanning his items. He looked up, surprised she'd spoken. Then he smiled barely, something like that. Yeah, she said softly. I get it. He paid in cash. Left. Interaction 2. The 3rd time it was raining. Isla's shift had ended, and she was walking to the bus stop when she saw him sitting on the curb outside the store, soaked, staring at nothing. Something in her chest twisted. She approached slowly. Hey, you okay? He didn't look up. Not really. She sat down next to him, rain dripping off her Publix visor. You want to talk about it? He laughed, bitter, broken. Would it matter? Maybe not, Isla said, but sometimes it helps to say it out loud. He was quiet for a long time. Then, I built an empire, he whispered. I have more money than I'll ever spend. And I have no one, no family, no friends, just silence. Isla's throat tightened. She knew that feeling. I'm sorry, she said. He finally looked at her. His eyes were red. Why are you being kind to me? Because, Isla said simply, everyone deserves kindness, even strangers. He stared at her like she'd just spoken a language he'd forgotten. Then he stood. Thank you, he said. I mean it. And he walked away. Interaction 3. Isla never saw him again. 3 months later, Isla got the call. A law firm in downtown Miami. They needed to see her immediately. Something about an inheritance. There must be a mistake, she told the receptionist. I don't know anyone with money. Ms. Moreno, the lawyer said when she arrived. This is no mistake. That's when he told her. Elijah Callahan, tech billionaire, founder Callahan Innovations, one of the wealthiest men in America, had died 2 weeks ago. Heart attack. No family. No spouse. And he'd left everything to her. That's impossible, Isla whispered. I don't even know him. He knew you, the lawyer said. He handed her the letter. Isla, you won't remember me. Why would you? We spoke 3 times. You were kind when you didn't have to be. You sat with me in the rain when I was ready to end it all. That night, I went home and didn't take the pills I'd been planning to take. Because of you. Because someone, a stranger working 2 jobs, barely surviving, stopped and cared. I spent the next 3 months trying to find a way to thank you. I hired investigators. I learned about your brother, about your struggles, and I realized you are exactly the kind of person who should have resources, not people like me, who hoard wealth and die alone. So I'm giving you everything, not as charity, as a debt paid. Live Isla. Live the life you've been too tired to dream of. Elijah. Isla couldn't breathe. She read it again. And again. He's giving me all of it? $4.7 billion, the lawyer confirmed. The company, the properties, the foundation. It's yours. Isla's hand shook. She thought of Danny, of the hospital bills, of the nights she cried in the shower because she didn't know how to keep going. Why didn't he just talk to me? She whispered. Because he didn't think he deserved your time, the lawyer said gently. He thought this was the only way he could repay you. Isla sat alone in that office for an hour, staring at the letter. She thought about all the people who'd passed her by, all the ones who never stopped, and she wondered, how many of us are one conversation away from saving someone's life? If this story is reminding you of something, someone, or a moment you can't forget, I hope you'll stay. Because what happens next will shatter you in the most beautiful way. Isla didn't tell anyone at first. She went home to her studio apartment, sat on the floor, and cried until her ribs ached. Danny came home from his hospital visit, pale and tired. You okay, Isa? She looked at her baby brother, the reason she fought every single day, and nodded. Yeah, I'm okay. Better than okay. That night, she paid off every medical bill, every debt. She set up a trust for Danny's treatments, enough to last his lifetime. Then she stood in the middle of her apartment and whispered, "Thank you, Elijah." But the fortune came with questions. The media exploded. Who was this woman? Headlines screamed, "Mystery heir inherits billions. No one knows why." Reporters camped outside her apartment. Investors demanded meetings. Distant relatives she'd never met suddenly appeared, hands out, smiling. Isla felt like she was drowning. That's when she met Owen Graves. He was Elijah's former CFO, now technically her CFO. 34, sharp-jawed, with steel-gray eyes and a reputation for being ruthless in boardrooms. He walked into her first company meeting like he owned the place. "Ms. Moreno," he said coolly, extending a hand. "I'll be blunt. You're in over your head. You have no business experience. The board is circling. If you want to keep this company, you'll need me." Isla stared at him. "And if I don't want your help?" Owen smiled, cold, calculated. "Then you'll lose everything in 6 months. Your choice." She hated him immediately, but he was right. Owen Graves had built his life on control. After a childhood spent watching his father gamble away their home, their savings, their future, Owen swore he'd never be powerless again. He worked 80-hour weeks, climbed every ladder, eliminated every weakness. Love? Vulnerability? Distractions. But Isla Moreno was different. She asked questions no one else asked. Not about profit margins or stock prices. About the people, the employees, the impact. "Why did Elijah start this company?" she asked one day, flipping through files in the glass-walled office. Owen frowned. "To innovate. To build wealth." "No," Isla said, looking up. "He started it because he wanted to matter. I read his old interviews. He wanted to change things." Owen's jaw tightened. "Sentiment doesn't pay salaries, Ms. Moreno." "Maybe not," she said, "but it's what separates a legacy from a graveyard." He didn't respond, but something in his chest shifted. Over the next few weeks, they worked side by side. Owen taught her the business. Isla taught him how to see people again. Late one night, after a brutal 14-hour day, Isla collapsed on the couch in the executive lounge. "I don't know if I can do this," she admitted. "I'm not him. I'm not Elijah. Owen sat across from her, tie loosened, exhaustion in his eyes. Good. Don't be him. Be you. She looked up. You think that's enough? I think, Owen said slowly, Elijah didn't give you this because you were like him. He gave it to you because you were better. Their eyes met, and for the first time, Owen felt something he'd buried years ago. But not everyone wanted Isla to succeed. Elijah's former business partner, Greg Manford, filed a lawsuit. He claimed the will was invalid, that Elijah had been mentally unstable, that Isla had manipulated him. The media ate it up. Isla sat in her new penthouse, when she still didn't feel belonged to her, and read the headlines. Gold digger or good Samaritan? Billionaire's mystery woman. Saying her scam? She wanted to scream. Owen found her on the balcony, staring at the Miami skyline. They don't know you, he said quietly. They don't have to, Isla whispered. They've already decided. Owen stepped closer. Then prove them wrong. She turned. How? By being exactly who Elijah saw. His hand brushed hers. Isla's breath hitched. Owen, I know, he said, voice rough. I know this is complicated. I know you didn't ask for any of this. But you're not alone. Not anymore. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm scared. Me too, he admitted. And then he kissed her. Soft, desperate, like she was the only solid thing in a world spinning out of control. Some moments define us. Not the loud ones, the quiet ones. The ones where someone sees you, really sees you, and chooses to stay. If you ever felt like Isla, like the world decided who you are before you got a chance to prove it, I hope you know, your story isn't over, and neither is hers. The lawsuit grew uglier. Greg dragged Isla's name through the mud. He leaked her financial history, her eviction notices, her brother's medical records, her desperation. Look at her, Greg said in a press conference. She was broke, desperate. You think it's a coincidence she suddenly inherits billions. Isla watched from the office, numb. Danny called. ISA, kids at school are saying things. About you, about us. Her heart broke. I'm sorry, Danny, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Owen found her in the archive room, surrounded by Elijah's old journals. What are you doing? He asked. Looking for proof, she said, that he meant it, that this wasn't, I don't know. Pity. Owen knelt beside her. Isla, he didn't pity you. He admired you. How do you know? Because I do too. She looked at him, this man who'd been cold and distant, now looking at her like she was a son. I don't know how to fight this, she admitted. Then don't fight alone. The trial was brutal. Greg's lawyers painted Isla as a manipulative opportunist. They showed photos of her at Publix, her studio apartment, her desperation. This woman, Greg's attorney said, saw a lonely, vulnerable man and exploited him. Isla sat silent, hands clenched. Then Owen took the stand. I worked with Elijah Callahan for 12 years, he said. He was the sharpest man I've ever known. And in his final months, he was the happiest I'd ever seen him. Why? The attorney challenged. Because he found purpose, Owen said. Not in wealth. In giving it to someone who'd use it to help others. Someone like Isla Moreno. The courtroom buzzed. Then Isla's lawyer presented Elijah's private journals. Entry, 2 weeks before his death. I met her again today. She didn't recognize me. Why would she? But I recognize her. She's still kind, still fighting, still giving everything she has to save her brother. I've made my decision. When I'm gone, everything goes to her. Not because she needs saving, but because the world does. And people like Isla are the ones who'll save it. The room went silent. Greg's face paled. The judge read the final pages. Then she looked at Isla. Ms. Moreno, she said, the will stands. The estate is yours. Isla won, but she didn't feel victorious. She stood outside the courthouse, cameras flashing, reporters shouting. What will you do with the money, Ms. Moreno? She thought of Elijah, of the man who'd sat in the rain, ready to give up. I'm going to build something, she said. A foundation for people who feel invisible, for kids like my brother, for anyone who's been told they don't matter. The cameras loved it, but Isla didn't care about the cameras. That night, Owen found her on the balcony again. "You did it," he said. "We did it," Isla corrected. He smiled. "So what now?" Isla turned to him. "Now, I stop running. I stop apologizing for being here. And I live like Elijah wanted." Owen stepped closer. "And us?" Isla's heart raced. "I don't know what us looks like yet, but I want to find out." He kissed her again, longer this time, deeper. "I love you," he whispered. Isla's breath caught. "Owen, I know it's fast. I know it's messy. But I love you, Isla, and I'm not letting you face this world alone." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I love you too." 1 year later, the Callahan Moreno Foundation opened its doors in Austin, Texas, a state-of-the-art medical center for kids with rare diseases, scholarships for students from low-income families, housing assistance for workers barely surviving. Isla stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Danny beside her, healthy, smiling, alive. Owen stood behind her, hand on her shoulder. "You did it," he whispered. "We did it," Isla said. She thought of Elijah, of the man who'd given her everything, because she'd given him one moment of kindness. "I hope you're proud," she whispered to the sky. That night, Isla found one final letter in Elijah's desk. "Isla, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. And it means you didn't give up. I knew you wouldn't. You asked me once why I was kind to you, but you had it backward. You were kind to me, and that kindness saved my life. So now I'm asking you to do something for me. Don't let the weight of this fortune crush you. Don't let it steal your light. Live loudly. Love deeply. Build something beautiful. And when you do, know that somewhere I'm smiling. Thank you, Isla, for giving me a reason to stay." Elijah. Isla folded the letter carefully, tears streaming. Owen wrapped his arms around her. "You okay?" She nodded. "Yeah, I'm okay." She looked out the city lights, Miami glowing in the distance, Austin sprawling below. "I'm more than okay." Kindness is a currency we undervalue. A stranger's smile. A moment of patience. A decision to sit in the rain with someone who's breaking. Elijah gave Isla everything because she gave him the one thing money couldn't buy. Proof that he mattered. If this story reminded you why we fight, why we love, why we keep going, leave a comment. Tell me about the moment someone's kindness changed your life, or the moment yours changed someone else's. Because stories like this, they're not fiction. They're happening all around us. We just have to be brave enough to see them. 5 years later, Isla Moreno Graves stood in front of a crowd of 10,000 people at the annual foundation gala. Danny, now 21 and studying medicine, stood beside her. Owen, her husband of 3 years, held their daughter, 2-year-old Eliana, named after the man who changed everything. "My story started with a stranger," Isla said into the microphone. "A man who gave me everything because I gave him 5 minutes of my time." She paused, looking at the faces in the crowd. "So here's what I want you to remember. You are never too small to change someone's life. You are never too broke, too tired, too broken. Sometimes, all it takes is showing up, being kind, staying." The crowd erupted. Isla smiled, tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Elijah," she whispered, "for believing I was enough." Owen squeezed her hand, and as the applause roared, Isla Moreno knew she had become the life Elijah never got to live, and she would spend the rest of hers making sure no one else had to sit in the rain alone. This story was written to break you, heal you, and remind you that love, real love, isn't always romantic. Sometimes it's a stranger who stops, who listens, who stays. If this story touched you, let me know, because Isla's story, it could be yours too. If this story touched you in any way, if it made you feel something, pause for a moment, or see life a little differently, please don't let it end here. These stories take heart, time, and care to create, and your support is what keeps them alive. Subscribing, liking, or sharing isn't just a click. It's a quiet way of saying this mattered. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, please stay with us.